There is a lot of talk about the SEC and banks right now because of some crazy events. All of you are welcome to the group. My name is Nick. If this video is your first time on the channel, I hope you decide to join by the end. Take a quick look at what Ripple's chief legal officer Chloe posted the other day to mark the 1-year anniversary of the XRP, not a message about safety. I really think everyone should join the free Discord. In the next sentence, there will be a link at the top. This is a free Discord that is one of the most useful and helpful ones out there. You can find a lot of free crypto gems, market strategies, tips, market trends, and charts on the free side. New cheat sheets will also be added to this Discord. We already have a lot of comments from Discord users who are raving about how great it is. Now, what do you wait for? Just click on the link at the top of this sentence to join the free Discord. As the anniversary of Judge Torres' summary judgment ruling in the SEC vs. Ripple lawsuit drew near, we could see some reflections. First and foremost, it was a big deal when it was decided that XRP is not a security by itself, but rather a coin. This choice led to a lot of others. Most recently, in the Binance case, it was found that the SEC had gone way too far and wasn't following the law when Chair Gensler was in charge. The courts have done a great job of keeping the SEC in check, but getting resolution one token at a time through endless litigation is not acceptable. It's getting more and more frustrating for lawmakers on both sides of the aisle that crypto laws aren't moving forward, as the US falls further behind the rest of the world. Even though our case isn't over yet, we still need to decide what to do about it. It won't change that the judges said XRP isn't a security. The CC told the court that it will not appeal that decision. The CC is still trying to get Ripple and the industry involved in lawsuits, but don't let that distract you. The SEC, Ripple, and the whole industry don't have much more time to make things better. The industry will be stronger after Chair Gensler leaves. On top of that, I'm bringing this up again because the SEC has been losing since that ruling. On the other hand, the SEC seems to be asking itself this question when it comes to crypto: does the coin have any use? They also seem to want to ban tokens that can be used for something. They don't seem to care if it's just a token that doesn't do anything. It almost seems like we should be the other way around here. And now, a big thank you to Anderson for this. We do have it, and it's very easy. A mark that can't be used isn't a threat to the current leader. J.D. Vance is working with Gensler and blockchain technology. Don't forget that Trump just made J.D. Vance vice president. But pay close attention to this. Gary Gensler is probably the worst person I can think of, at least when it comes to major differences. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Okay, so Gary Gensler has a view that is pretty much the opposite of mine. And I have two issues with Gary. One of them is that I believe he wants to bring politics way too much into the business of stocks in the United States. However, Gary's method to regulating blockchain and crypto seems to be almost the exact opposite of what it should be. This is the more important issue, or at least the most important issue for this conference. That being said, and this may be too simple, but the SEC seems to ask when it comes to crypto, is this a ticket with utility? They seem to want to ban it if it's a question or a ticket that can be used. They don't seem to care if it's just a token that doesn't do anything. It almost seems like we should be the other way around here, right? I'm worried about financialization. To be honest, I'm not sure if a lot of the crypto stuff is real or not. As long as a ticket actually does something useful, though, it should be regulated and people should be careful about how they use it. You don't want to just throw this away, though. And this is where I really worry a lot of the new social media competitors, the social media leaders of 2024, will need blockchain technology to run their businesses. Perhaps they will need a key that can be verified. When I talk to friends who are still in the venture capital business, they tell me that the most interesting companies are the ones that are doing real things in communications in the 21st century, 2024, to be exact. These companies often use high utility tokens to do things like verifying users, because if we don't make verification possible, it will be very hard to compete with the companies that are already in the area. Guys, that being said, this does make you wonder why XRP was going after, while these other big projects got away with it. Once more, the main point here is the usefulness. But besides this, we also have this. I think we need a reset. Chester Pierce sent this. At the same time, Hester Pierce keeps saying how wrong the SEC's policy is. Since the SEC only has limited resources, its enforcement-based method doesn't work for either the industry or US's regulators. Look it over. Much of what I've heard at the meeting is people being worried about regulation through enforcement and the harsh approach the SEC has taken in enforcement cases. As a commissioner, does the fact that so many people in the business see the SEC as an enemy or a roadblock to progress bother you? No, it doesn't. And I mean, I think I've had some of the same worries as you that we're making policy in this area, mostly through punishment. And that's not the best way to do it. Not only does it not work for the business, but it also doesn't work for us as a regulator with limited funds. So I believe we need to start over. We need to include people in policymaking whose job it is not to police the rules, but to make them. At the SEC, these are different people. It looks like there are. That's all there is to it. Also, there are a lot of problems at the SEC when we really look at what's going on. Even more recently, in March 2023, when we heard about Operation Choke Point 2.2.0, the first thing we thought about was taking crypto out of banks, right? Your question might be, Nick, what's going on? Chester Pierce had just asked for a reset. We talked about how badly the SEC is doing its job. So now we're talking about getting rid of banks? Yes, because this is what the SEC are interested in. It's important to remember that this post with JD Vance is about insiders, right? An unusable object doesn't pose a threat to the ones that already have power. When we saw that crypto wasn't being held by banks, it became very clear what the SEC and other groups were up to. It was the Fed, the FDIC, and the OCC, along with other big government agencies, that were after this area from all sides to protect the big banks. Two things that really worry the big banks are XRP and Ripple. Finally, Eleanor Tourette, who used to be Obama's attorney general, confirmed what we already knew. We have officials who are purposely taking crypto out of banks. Even though the digital assets business needs banks very badly, federal regulators have been working hard to keep banks out of the industry. This proves that to be true. This was put up on July 4th. After this, SAB 121 was thrown out. Also, guess what? New, the House vote to override President Biden's veto to get rid of SAB 121. The SEC's anti-crypto rule was put off after President Biden sent the House an important letter. This is not how we should do business. Look it over. A message from the US President. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hi, Madam Secretary. My boss, the President of the United States, told me to send a letter to the House of Representatives. It is known who the man from North Carolina is. It's not a good idea for the government to think that Congress will wait because banks are trying to get a special deal from Gary Gens or the SEC. It's not how a great state should do business for Congress to wait and see if 2 or 10 people are talking before overriding the president's veto of a bad policy that hurts customers. A great country with the best stock markets in the world. This is not how we should do business. A message from the US President. Okay, I agree with Patrick McHenry 100%. Part of the trouble is that many of these congressional members do nothing but talk. None of them do anything. This is not good. But why should we really care about SAB 121 right now? Check this out. It's strange that this isn't being reported on by more people. A number of big American banks are getting exemptions from SAP 121 from the SEC. Thanks to Good Morning Crypto for this, we need to read. A number of big banks are getting exceptions to SAP 121 from the SEC. This means that some banks are no longer getting in trouble for keeping Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies safe. Customers who keep their money in control are safer with banks than with non-banks because US law says banks can't go bankrupt, making sure that customers' property is safe. But I don't like this because the SEC is picking winners and losers in the TradFi space just like they did in the DeFi space. We already know who those big banks are, right? I don't think I need to name a few people. This is not good. The SEC is paying close attention to this problem and makes provisions for banks to SAP 121. This makes sure that customers keep their assets even if a bank fails. This fundamental advantage of banks is in line with what the SEC wants, which is good for crypto markets because it makes them safer. You might think this is great, but let's be honest, their job is to pick the winners. Is doing behind the scenes to protect the big bankers, or the people who are basically lining their pockets. I'm interested in JP Morgan. I pay attention to Bank of America. When I think about Citi, I pay attention to these big guys because they're the ones who keep getting richer and bigger, no matter how bad the economy was in 2008. Right? There was consolidation in the banking business, and guess who won? The big banks. It's a big problem, but the story is the same. Just a slightly different point of view now that Bitcoin is involved. But when we look at the facts, we can see that every single big government body was used as a weapon to attack crypto and shut down banks.